Hi, this is Ernie Lewis from Beardsley School District in Bakersfield, California. Let's get to know Beardsley Hotspots. There are two different brands that Beardsley offers based upon availability, the Alcatel and the Cradle Point. Here are some general guidelines about hotspots that you need to know before you get started. First of all, I'd like to draw your attention up here to the upper right-hand corner. Each hotspot is sent home with instructions on how to use it. So please make sure that you read those instructions. Part of this presentation is based on the guidelines in the instruction and the information within. Nonetheless, there's a little bit more, at least I will be offering a little bit more as I go. Let's take a look here. Number one, place the hotspot in the best location to improve signal strength and let the unit remain there undisturbed while it is being used. You will find that some rooms, this might be pertain to your household, you might get better reception in one room than the other, and that's possible based upon obstructions in the home and so forth. So take a little time before you actually utilize the hotspot and try different areas within your house to see which areas work best to provide the strongest signal. Number two, make sure that the correct hotspot is selected when logging on a computer to the network. And the instructions provided with the hotspot goes into that in detail. Just remember that there's many different hotspots out there, many different network IDs. Just make sure you're selecting the correct one. Number three, do not log in other devices such as a wireless notebook and computers to the hotspot. And let me clarify that. If a Chromebook is logged into that for the student, please don't log in other devices such as iPods or other like phones and different computers that are not being used for schoolwork. Those will only drag down the hotspot and not allow it to work as it should. So make sure it's just the Chromebook and the student working on the hotspot. Number four, disconnect a rechargeable hotspot from the charging unit as one would do with a cell phone once the device is charged to increase the productivity of the unit. So once it's charged, just like you would a cell phone, unplug it and use the phone, the hotspot. And as the battery drains down, then go ahead and charge it up overnight or however you need to do that. Number five, remain close to the hotspot during usage. The closer you are, the better connection you will receive between the computer and the hotspot. So proximity does matter. Number six, keep the hotspot indoors and in a dry area. Number seven, use the hotspot for what it is intended for, in this case, schoolwork. And number eight, handle the hotspot with care. All right, let's go ahead and take a look at some issues, things that can affect signal strength and speed of a hotspot. First of all, metal structures or simply metallic objects in general can affect the connectivity of the hotspot. So keep that in mind. Number two, electrical lines or power lines can also affect the connectivity of a hotspot. Number three, living locations such as trailer and mobile home parks because of the metallic structures and landscape. So if you live in a hilly area, you may not get the reception like you would like to have. Number four, carrier disruption. So say a cell tower goes out or some other type of electronic issue happens from the carrier. Of course, that will affect the hotspot as well if that hotspot is assigned to a given area like a bad tower. Number five, unit goes to sleep after a period of inactivity. That's going to affect the carrier connection as well. This would be a Alcatel issue. The unit can go to sleep. Some of them, I think the default is about 10 minutes. And some of those have been bumped up. But if you see that you're using a hotspot and all of a sudden it just seems to be off, it is simply asleep and needs to be activated again. If you press the power button, it should just kind of wake up, and you should be able to use it shortly after that. Background applications. So if you have a bunch of web pages open and so forth, and they're all something is drawing data out from the hotspot, of course that's going to slow down what you should be doing, which would be your schoolwork. And number 7, excessive video streams. And I know we're doing virtual learning right now, distance learning and virtual classrooms. And we're having video run, and that is very demanding on these units. So sometimes it's best to actually turn your video stream off, especially if the teacher is trying to display video to you, maybe a movie or a clip from a video or whatever. So work with your teacher on that one. And I believe there is no 8. I think we're going on to the next slide. Let's go ahead and go on. So we're going to talk now about the Alcatel Link Zone 2, and this is how the unit looks. It'll come with a charging unit and also a cable so you can hook it up to the hotspot. And this is how it looks hooked up to the hotspot. And at this point, this unit here is ready to be plugged in the wall and charged. Turning on the hotspot, the Alcatel, there is a power button on the side of the unit, and it has a little symbol that looks like power, and that's kind of almost an icon, more or less, and that would be the power button there, and it is circled in red. I'm going to draw your attention here to the button next to it, which is the WPS, which stands for Wi-Fi Protective Setup. WPS button. Do not press that one. It will reset the hotspot and you will not be able to use it. The Alcatel Wi-Fi acquiring sequence. When you first turn it on, all the lights will come on. And they will, almost all of them will go off again. And then they will come back on. That takes anywhere from a minute or 2 to happen. So just be patient. It will happen. And then the hotspot will be ready to use. Let's go on to the Cradle Point hotspot now, and that is the one with the 3 antennas. And this is, in fact, I'm looking at this one. This hotspot is ready to be used. All the lights are on. So let's take a look at that one. Here's how the Cradle hotspot looks. Those 3 antennas identify it. This one here is all ready to go, ready to be charged, or not charged. Actually, this one has no battery in it. It does need to be plugged in to use it. The Cradle Point hotspot subscriber identification model, or the module, which is the SIM card storage, is located right here. I'm only bringing this up to you in case that sliding door pops open and someone pops out the SIM. So I'll show you how to replace that. But there's really no need to slide that door open. Once you get the hotspot set up, just leave it alone. Should be okay. But if something does happen to it, let me show you how to deal with that. So here is a closed door. Here is that little latch is now open. That door is open. And this area here, the white area, that is actually the SIM card. And that's how it looks out of the unit. So similar to what you would take out of a cell phone, because these are basically same thing, cell phones, but there's no phone device to it. It's just simply used for Wi-Fi. And so this is how the unit looks closed up. And there's a little note that's going to pop up here. If the SIM card is ejected, it will need to be placed back in the unit. Make sure that it locks in place and then slide the door shut. The unit will not operate if the door is open. Let's talk about the power supply. Here's the Cradle Point hotspot, and here's the power supply and hooked up to it. It looks like that once it's hooked up. So once you plug it in, it'll get ready to be used. And here's the Wi-Fi acquisition sequence of the Cradle Point. So it will start first with a few lights on, and eventually it'll start with more lights on. You can see those lights over here, and they're actually, can't quite discern it, but those are blue lights. So those blue lights will come on, then they will all go off. At that point, you'll see some green lights go on over to the left-hand side. you'll see an area that you might think something is wrong, and that's the filter. If that happens, no, there's not a problem at all. It's just starting up in part of its sequence. And then again, once all the lights are on, the unit is ready to be used. So you can log on to it. We talked to you about this Cradle Point reset button. Same thing as with the Alcatel. Do not press it. It will reset the unit, and in doing so, you will not be able to use it. All right. Well, that concludes today's video. I hope this helps. Main thing is just find a good spot for your hotspot in your house for the best connection. Again, if you do have a problem, you're always welcome to call the school here. A lot of these things, these hotspots are very durable and they should be able to be used properly. Just make sure that you're handling the unit correctly and carefully, and enjoy your time doing distance learning. And at some point, I hope to talk to you. Again, my name is Ernie Lewis. I'm at extension 2166 at Beardsley School District. Thank you very much and have a great day. Goodbye.